It has been a long offseason. There's been a lot of talk going on, college football playoff formats. Like, it's finally, we can talk ball. Like, that's what we want to talk about, right?
Well, I think that's the most difficult thing about college football, right? It's a lot of speculation. We don't really know exactly what's going on.
We pretend like
we pretend like we know. And then the season starts and we know, right? What do I always say? We have no idea what the hell is going on, right? And that's what makes college football
The only thing
great.
that we know is that we know absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And, all the camp buzz, everything that people just talked about, it's going to be quiet. As soon as those pads start hitting on week one, I can't wait for it.
Been a long offseason since Ohio State hoisted the national championship trophy back in January. So if you are in need of a primer before things do kick off in Dublin, Ireland, we have got you covered. We got quarterback talk. This is going to be a big top 5 kind of show. We're going to do a lot of lists as well. We're going to talk through all the week 1 matchups that you have to be tuned into. But let's start with the top 3 storylines going into the 2025 season. And there's nowhere else that you can start, really, besides the Big Ten versus the SEC. I mean, the competition off the field to become the best on the field has really become the game's biggest rivalry in a lot of different aspects. The Big Ten, obviously, as you know, has won each of the last 2 national championships. They kind of flexed on the SEC over the last 2 college football playoffs. Word on the street, guys, Penn State's pretty good this year up in Happy Valley, and James Franklin trying to follow in the footsteps of the likes of Michigan and Ohio State. So the question to you, Scoob, I'll ask you, has the balance of power in college football truly shifted north?
Be careful how you answer this.
Or is the SEC just reloading for another great year?
Nah, I think everything has definitely evened out and we can thank NIL and the transfer portal for that, because what we used to see a lot is these SEC teams have 5 stars as the second and third string.
Right.
But things have changed now where kids don't have to necessarily wait as long because other schools can throw playing time and money at them. So now you get those opportunities to have a 5-star kid come in and get playing time early. And these SEC teams aren't as deep as they used to be, which I believe has ultimately balanced out the college football field when everyone went to the SEC.
There's not a lot of separation, Matty, right? I mean, we pretend like we know what we're talking about going into the season, but in reality, this has been the closest AP poll in the preseason since like 1998. So things are really close.
Things are really close, and it's for the betterment of football, right? It's no longer a regional sport, right, where just one area, right, just completely dominates the other. Now we are getting into the fact of, listen, if you have good coaching, if you can recruit good players, if you can retain good football players, and ultimately, again, if you can develop young football players, especially the quarterback position, right, or be very effective in the transfer portal, you can go from being an average middle-of-the-road football team to then actually contending for a national title and being in that playoff contention. And we're going to talk about a few teams today that fall under that category.
I'm glad you said the word retain, because that leads us to our next top storyline, which is, in this new era of college football, there have been different philosophies with which programs take to build their roster. There are the portal king sort of teams. Lane Kiffin obviously comes to mind at Ole Miss, LSU, Brian Kelly, the #1 transfer portal class in Texas Tech getting in the fold, dropping a whole huge ton of money, bringing in like 30, 40-plus players. Then you have the retainers. You have the Clemsons of the world, Dabo Swinney. I think they brought in like a surplus of 4 players from the transfer portal this year. I would throw Georgia and Kirby in that mix, Ohio State somewhat, and Penn State, I think, is a retainer as well. So, Matty, which approach is more sustainable in the long run, you think?
You know, it really is a year-to-year thing, right? And we got to look at these football programs almost as just like they're Fortune 500 companies, right? Certain years you're going to be selling out and you're going to go and do everything you can in the portal to regroup your entire football team. Then there's like, hey, what we're doing is really working well. We're recruiting extremely well, and we have great depth, right? And now we just need to add a key piece here or there.
Yeah.
Penn State's a great example. They're a really well-built football team at every single level, right? They add Trevor Pena, right, to it because he is a consistent pass catcher, and they need someone consistent over the middle for Drew Aller to go along with the 2 guys that have already been on their roster, right, and Singleton and Katron Allen. So you can see just the differences. Like the notable transfer here, just John Mateer. Really looking forward to see that. Nico made the list, right, even though I made a small adjustment to that one. Fernando Mendoza, really excited to see him. Kurt Signetti, right, in Indiana Hoosiers. I think they got a really good quarterback. Can't wait to see him. Hey, Florida State, that was another situation that we had last year. They sold out in the NIL, and the transfer portal did not work out well for them. Let's see if Tommy Castellanos can figure this out. Mekhi Hughes to Oregon, huge one right there. Zachariah Branch there
I love that
to
one.
Georgia.
That's one of my favorite ones.
I knew you'd like that one. You know what sneaky one here on this list that I think is is super important. Eric Singleton Jr. going to Auburn. That is a huge one from Georgia Tech. Isaiah Horton.
We got an Auburn fan right now in the chat. Big SEC fan, big Auburn fan.
Coleman and Singleton, all right, those two guys. Now, Jackson Arnold, it seems like he's been struggling in camp so far, but, man, they can be very explosive on the offensive side of the football. Now, hey, defensive line here. Romello Height, Lee Hunter, Sky Gill Howard, Anthony Holmes. Guess what? They all go to Texas Tech. Is that not amazing, right? So they totally replenished their entire defensive line. Will Height Purdue to Clemson. He's awesome because TJ Parker, Peter Woods, they were a loaded defensive line in-house. They add him to the edge now, opposite side of him. That is a dangerous defensive line that Clemson has built with just one addition in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think you can build a team through the transfer portal, but you're going to build a culture with recruiting, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference for me. When you look at when you look at the last two national champions, that's Michigan and Ohio State, what did they both have in common? They had guys who could potentially go to the NFL that decided to come back to college so that they could play for each other and win a championship. So those guys had more pride within the program. Those guys wanted to play for more than themselves. They came back because they wanted to win a championship for that program. So you're going to build a winning culture. You're going to build a dynasty, if you would say, when guys want to come back and play for more than themselves.
That's right.
So I think recruiting is really where you're going to be able to sustain that long-run success, to your question that you asked earlier. But if you're just trying to get a championship and figure things out really quickly and talk about that Band-Aid approach, you can do it through the transfer portal, but when things start to hit the fan, is everyone going to buy in and play for more than themselves, or are they going to be like, man, when's that transfer portal open back up so I could get out of here?
That's always a question.
It is, yeah.
And the one thing, just to kind of just kind of put the cherry on top of this conversation, the two teams that we just mentioned and the teams that we're going to be mentioning today for a national title contention, right? Trench, right? Offense, defensive line, legit depth, right? Game-changing type of football players in the trenches, right? Sprinkling a few athletes on the outside, and you got a championship contender.
Speaking of trenches, Texas is a team that a lot of people are high on this year, rightfully so. They have to replace quite a bit from their offensive line, but they have a new play caller back there, and if you haven't heard or if you've been living under a rock for the last 6 months, which actually sounds kind of nice, Arch Manning is the new quarterback over in Texas. Rubber's going to meet the road real fast. We're going to find out a lot about this Texas team and Arch Manning in week one when they go up to the shoe to take on the reigning national champions in Ohio State. Maddie, how much of Texas's season rides on Arch passing this first test? And by passing, I don't even know if I mean win. I mean, like, looking like he's confident back there behind.
He's going to look confident. I have total faith that Arch Manning is going to be able to live up to all the hype, right, that we were putting on this guy, which is pretty crazy considering how much hype he is getting. But when I watch the tape from last year, when I just see some of the things that have been said, too, from camp and all that, dude's got it. He does. He's a pro. And, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Listen, he does have an unbelievable advantage knowing that he has multiple people in his family that he can go to get some more experience and knowledge from. But what I like about him, though, too, and we discussed this last year, he's authentically himself, right? I mean, we saw him this offseason. You know, he's hanging out, like, doing, and he's just him, man. He really is. Now, the question I think I have, right, is just the skill group around him. C.J. Baxter is awesome. Quintravian Weiser is awesome. Can they run the football effectively, especially with Arch in the backfield with them, being that three-headed monster, right? DeAndre Moore, really good receiver for them. Wingo, does he come up and be a little bit more impressive as a game maker, playmaker for them? So for the offense side of football, I think schematically they're going to have tremendous advantages. Who is going to be the guy that kind of asserts himself as receiver one? Jack Andres, right? The transfer. I think he's going to be a huge impact in this offense too. Sark likes feeding the tight ends. So I think Arch is in a really good position to succeed well. And even if he stumbles a little bit early on, we know it's a marathon. It's not about the sprint anymore. It's a marathon. If you lose one, it doesn't matter. It's how you bounce back the following week.
It's really two seasons, right, Scoob? Like, I mean, it's the regular season. Texas expected to make it to the playoff at least, and then it's like another season where you could see Arch take another step.
That's right.
Because of the extended college football playoff, there is room for error, and especially coming out of the gate, I think we got to give Arch Manning some grace over here and not say that the season is riding on his performance in that first game. And quite frankly, I think Sark is going to be a lot more
reserved.
Yes, exactly.
Conservative.
As week one and conservative. Let's run the ball. Let's play good defense. Let's protect him. Let's just have him make good decisions.
That's the key right there.
That's all that they have to do the first game. Make sure he doesn't get his confidence absolutely obliterated out of the gate, because understand he is going against the defending national champs, his first game out of the gate with all these expectations. So quite frankly, to me, if they lose the game, it's probably going to do him better, because I'm the type of person where you learn a lot through failure.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if he is to run into some problems here, he'll grow from it more. But hey, calm down, settle down with week one. This is a tough test.
Man, let's go. Let's go. I don't know what he's talking about. Let's air it out. Let's throw it 50 times. No, and let's remind everybody, too. It's the Texas defense that really might be the star of the show.
doubt.
Right? We'll be going to talk about Arch
Play
a
good
lot.
defense.
Colin Simmons is one of the best defensive pass rushers in college football. Right? He's only going into his sophomore year, but you're going to hear this name a lot. Right? The other, they also added 2 transfers into the interior part of the defensive line. That'll be a huge impact too, just adding depth right to that D-line group. The other aspect, Anthony Hill Jr., middle linebacker. All right, this dude is an absolute beast. He is going to be an awesome game wrecker for them. Michael Taft, former walk-on, now he's being projected as like a high-ranking guy that's going to be drafted high.
All-American.
And then, you know, we got Malik Muhammad too on the outside there as like one of the best cover corners in the country. So Texas has superstars in every single level, offensively and defensively, and now it's all about just can they gel and make it all work.
Chemistry.